What is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and it's been about a month since XDefiant released, and the internet is absolutely abuzz with excitement and hype for the game. Even still, people are actually genuinely enjoying the game. This isn't just a flash in the pan type experience, and for very good reason. In my recent review video, by the way, go check that out, it's on my channel, I stated that the game is great and it was a very enjoyable game to play. However, it's definitely not perfect and kind of bare bones in certain aspects. And there is definitely a lot of room to grow for this game and a lot of areas that I believe it can really shine in. Keep in mind, some of this may be addressed with the Season 1 update that's coming as of this video about 2.5 weeks from now. Obviously this video might date itself and a lot of this stuff might be already scheduled to be fixed or added to, stuff like that. But as of now, the stuff isn't in the game. We haven't gotten concrete plans for any of this to be added. And these are just 5 things that I really think would spice up the game and add to its depth and replayability even more so going forward. So if you like content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I try to cover everything Call of Duty and now XDefiant, as well as some other games I occasionally play, including some reviews and gaming discussions as a whole. And if you would like to support the channel monetarily, there is a join button below where you get access to all kinds of cool perks and everything while helping me to create more content. So with that all out of the way, let's dive right in. And the first thing that I want to see added to this game, and really it's not really added so much as fleshed out, is the weapon progression. Currently, we only have 3 weapon camos that aren't available as part of a battle pass or a reward. Only 3 that you can actually earn completely free and without doing anything else. And that is just the 3 mastery camos, the bronze, silver, and gold currently for levels 50, 75, and 100 for each weapon. Now, I did mention this all as a negative thing in my review, that the weapon progression, especially compared to COD, which inevitably this game is going to be compared to COD constantly. Compared to COD, the weapon progression is bare bones and kind of downright embarrassing, if you ask some people. I would really like to see this flushed out. In my opinion, it would really add to the replayability, like I was saying before, add some kind of depth and more reasons to log on every day. Now, I will say that there was an additional camo leaked and then furthermore shown in the Season 1 trailer. I'm still not 100% sure what it will be used for. I don't think they've officially said yet. I assume it'll be something, kind of Black Matter-esque, if you've played COD before, if you've gotten several mastery camos maybe for an entire weapon category or maybe all of the weapons in the game. I'm assuming something along those lines. I doubt that they're just adding another camo for every weapon if you get it to, say, level 125, but it is a possibility. Again, as of the recording of this video, we don't know what that new camo will be. It kind of almost resembles Atomic camo from Call of Duty Vanguard, if you remember what that looks like. Obviously not a one-to-one thing. It looks much better than Atomic, if you ask me. So we will have to see how they implement it. It looks like they're already kind of working on fleshing this system out more, but as of right now, we just don't know. Me personally, I would love to institute maybe 4 or 5 more camos for each gun that maybe even start unlocking a little earlier in the weapon progression, kind of like how CODs have done in the past. Maybe not so much the recent games that have gone a little overboard with the camos, but back in the day, when you get like 5 headshots and then 10 and 15 headshots, something like that, that allowed you to get maybe more camos earlier on. So possibly institute a level 5 camo, a level 10 camo, 25, 40, stuff like that, instead of just starting at 50, 75, and 100. And obviously these camos don't have to be the coolest, right? They're meant to be your, just started leveling up the weapon, and, they're just a little more bookmarks or benchmarks to hit, along your way as you're leveling up your weapons. And I'm not sure, obviously I do not have any weapons right now at level 100, and I'm not sure if they go above 100 right now. I do not believe they do, but I'd be all down, I'd be completely down for adding like a weapon prestige system possibly, where you get to reset your levels and get more camos, or for them to just add more weapon levels to each weapon, so that eventually that maybe they can go to 200 and you unlock 3 or 4 more camos on the way up to weapon level 200, something like that. Either way, just something a little more advanced, more things to unlock, more ways to flush out that progress as you go from level 0 up to the max level for every weapon. Now, I just want to preface before this next point that I do actually appreciate the fact that the XDefiant camo system is much different than COD in the fact that there is no challenge based system, right? You just level the weapon up through any means necessary, and then boom, you get the camos as means of like a prize for putting up so much dedication and effort into getting the weapon to those higher levels. However, I do have to say that I wouldn't mind if they had kind of a simple challenge system. Maybe just, one set of challenges that unlocked you a set of camos like headshots or multi kills or something like that that was simple. Nothing too crazy like COD system where you have to get 7 kills while twirling around on your back with your finger in your left ear twice on a Sunday. Like nothing crazy like that makes things too complicated. But it would be nice for one of those more rudimentary systems. So you keep the simplicity and basicness of the current system while also jazzing it up just a bit to maybe reward some of behaviors, and especially behaviors that you don't have to change your game for, right? That's one of my least favorite things in COD is a lot of the challenges, like I just made the joke, they're kind of wild or stupid or very niche, and you have to change up the way you play just to get them. And oftentimes that is very unrewarding and kind of annoying feeling to go through. So if they could just do something that you would be doing anyways, like headshots, maybe, something like that makes things easier, and also gives you some camos alongside it, I would not mind. But again, let me just say, I do enjoy the fact that this game does not have any challenges in its current state, and it is a very raw, basic, easy to understand system of strictly levels. So I could rant a little more about this, but I think that sums up most of what I have to say about deeper weapon progression, especially in the form of camos. I will say too, before we move on to the next point, I have no problem whatsoever with the way attachments are right now, so we can leave those the way they are. Now, next up, this is a massive thing, arguably the biggest issue that I had with the game at launch, and that was the hit registration and netcode issues that the game has. Now, again, I'm not going to rant about this very much because I already did so in my review video. Again, another shameless plug. Go check that out. Leave a thumbs up. But, the game had very, very shaky netcode at launch. Bullets just disappeared. Sometimes it felt like you shot a guy 30 times before he died. Sometimes you weren't getting any hit markers despite your red dot being directly on him. Stuff like that. Now, I will say that they have already addressed this a little bit in a recent patch. As a matter of fact, I think the patch went live last week, or a couple days ago rather. And I will say, in the time I've played, several hours of the game since then, and it feels a lot better. Maybe not night and day better, perhaps, as crisp and clean as COD can feel at times, but it is significantly better and a lot more fun to play. That being said, it still has some issues and it still has a ways to go, possibly several more patch worth of fixes and optimization for the netcode and the hit registration and all of that, for it to be really where it should be for a modern Twitch shooter, arcade shooter like XDefiant is. And I really think they have a lot more room to improve in this way, and I think this is one of the biggest factors in making the game feel more fun on a game-to-game basis, right? When the game feels tight and accurate and the netcode's working, you have a good ping, you're in a good connection lobby, it feels amazing and the gunplay feels crisp and rewarding and fun. But when that hit reg and latency is acting up, or maybe you're not in the best lobby and stuff like that, the game can feel super floaty and just inconsistent and kind of frustrating and unrewarding at times. And as of right now, it's kind of a match to match. It varies from match to match rather. So, some matches feel great and it just feels like every time you actually shoot somebody, you land every bullet that you're supposed to and they die in a reasonable amount of time. And likewise with yourself, right? You feel like you're engaging in actual gunfights. You're not just dying in one bullet out of nowhere. And those matches feel great and it just feels smooth sailing and wonderful. The only issue is not every match feels like that. And sometimes even over the course of the match, not every gunfight will feel like that. And that's the main issue, right? That should be the baseline. That should be how every gunfight feels, how every match feels, apart from maybe some stragglers where you were forced to connect to maybe a crappier host or whatever the fact. You're never going to have perfect netcode or perfect latency in an online video game. I understand that. But it just feels like right now the bar is set very low for this game. But when everything's firing on all cylinders, it feels amazing. I just want to feel that feeling more often. And again, the devs do acknowledge that they still have a lot more work to do on this, but that patch that they put out has already made the game feel better, and my overall enjoyment and experience with the game is a lot better than it was day one. So I just had to preface this. I started writing this script kind of before that patch. And so I had to backspace some of my points, but I really just wanted to hammer home that it does feel better. It was really bad on launch. It's gotten better, but it still has several miles to go before it is consistent enough to really feel as good as I feel this game should. Now, next up, the next point, this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier about the weapons, right? Kind of an overall lack of progression to this game. And I touched about all this in my review as well, so I wanted to dive deeper into what would I personally like to see in terms of the operators or the heroes, whatever they call them in this game. So the current challenge system to unlock the new operators within a specific faction can be kind of long-winded. Currently, I think I have one out of the two extra operators unlocked for each faction. Typically with the ability that I did the challenge with the ability that I enjoyed more. Obviously, that's, you're going to use whatever feels best to you or fits your playstyle best. So I've already unlocked those operators, but some of the challenges feel a little lengthy. But that's fine. I understand they have to kind of add grind to the game to keep people playing, especially as a free-to-play game that, is banking on you spending time in the store and stuff like that. We've already got, said this to death about other video games in this kind of live service era. But yeah, some of the challenges feel a little long-winded and it can kind of feel a little unrewarding. I doubt that they'll ever scale that back or readjust some of the totals for the challenges, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I do think that the system overall is a good and fun way to unlock new operators as opposed to having to pay for them or unlock them through a shop. I really enjoyed that, there was the big main challenge that you could unlock the whole new faction, the DedSec faction, just from getting XP. I thought that was really cool and a good thing to strive for and keep you playing without being too crazy. Now, I would say that I would like to build on this already decent system that they have in place and make it much, much deeper and, possibly break down and have individual progression tied to each operator and or each, ability for each class, or definitely within the factions themselves. So kind of the system that I would like to see is I would love mastery skins, kind of like COD has done in the past and like Black Ops 3, for example, and kind of like how they have the weapons right now. So that would mean instituting levels for each operator. Now, I doubt that they could go back and retroactively give you levels unless they've been tracking this stat since launch in terms of XP earned with like each individual operator or each individual faction. Maybe they have that data, I kind of doubt it, but I would like to see a level tied to, again, either the individual operator themselves or the faction as a whole. I understand that maybe it would make sense for them to do the faction as a whole, so I wanted to include that as well. But I would like to see the operators get certain skins at certain levels or after completing certain challenges with the faction. Again, just as a way to flesh out these characters and everything like that. I know that the shop at the end of the day is supposed to be where all these skins are found, right? They want you spending money in the shop. You didn't spend any money to play the game. They need you to spend money while you're playing the game on skins and cosmetics and everything like that. So by no means am I advocating for them putting the coolest skins ever tied behind, getting to level 50 with a specific operator. I know they will never do that because that'll undermine the shop. But at the very least, give something that players will want to show off, right? It'll keep them playing the game. If they can level up each individual operator, it gives them another little section of progression and grind essentially. But also, after you hit certain milestones, it would be nice to show that off in the lobby, right? It's one thing to show off that you flashed your credit card. It's another thing to show off that maybe you have 10,000 kills with a specific operator, or you got that operator to level 150, or whatever the path is that they choose. I think that you could also split this up by item type, right? And start getting different skins based on, if you use the riot shield versus the kind of damage bubble that you can put up, stuff like that. Just so you can customize that further, because that's kind of how they have it broken up right now. You have to use the one ability to unlock one operator and the other ability to get the other one. So, if they kind of went down that same path, I could see them instituting that as well. And again, also just kind of showing off to those in the lobby, if they know better, at least, what your playstyle is, what ability you use the most, what levels you've gotten, and everything like that. And it adds a lot of grind to the game. Again, if it handled correctly, not unsightly grind, but grind nonetheless. And I know that that's really what they're striving for here, especially in a free-to-play live service game. And I think at the end of the day, this would really tie into what Ubisoft has yet to crack, as hard as I think they will going forward, but that's people's love for these individual franchises. I think a game like this, a game like Super Mario Bros., stuff like that really brings a bunch of different people from a bunch of different franchises into a common ground. And I think for them to be able to show their love for the individual franchises or individual factions, I think giving them more chance to do that and show off their love for Far Cry, for example, or Splinter Cell, or like myself, I'm one of the biggest Assassin's Creed fans ever. If they do eventually add that faction for one reason or another, I would love to get a mastery skin in the Assassin's faction to then go ahead and show off to everyone in the lobby where my allegiances lie, or what I prefer to use, or what games I like playing. I think they really need to dive into that whole. They are treating this like a Smash Bros. Game, right? Where a bunch of their famous franchises are all coming together to fight, and stuff like that. They need to lean into that more, and I think this operator, mastery system, if they flesh that out and add levels and all this other kind of stuff, achievable skins, I think that can really boost that engagement with their audience and possibly pull more people into the series once they know that they can rep their favorite brand and or character. And kind of a side note that I have written here that's really not tied to the progression by any means, but I would love to see them add more named characters or more characters that we're aware of. Off the top of my head, I don't recognize any of the characters. Now, I could be wrong. I could be stupid. Somebody call me out in the comment section. But I think right now they're all just kind of generic operators within a faction. So I would like to see them add actual main characters from games, or at least known characters that people love. I assume they'll probably do that later in the shop. Who knows? We'll have to see as that comes to bear. But that's definitely something I would like to see in terms of the progression and operators as well. So next up, the next point that I would like to see them change is better XP rates. Now, again, this is one of those things I was writing the script before they announced some changes to XP. So I believe it is currently being worked on, possibly even in a patch that goes live tomorrow as of recording this. But we don't have any metrics. The patch notes aren't out yet, so I can't even give you guys any information or even erase this from my script because I just don't know what's coming. But I would like to see things bumped up a little bit. It's a little bit slow. It's a little bit overly grindy, especially weapon and battle pass level. Now, personal level, I don't really care. I think it's just a matter to show people how much you've played the game. It doesn't necessarily unlock anything or do anything crazy for you like COD does. But, definitely weapon and definitely battle pass XP, they need to be bumped up slightly. Not necessarily to, double XP levels or anything like that, but, maybe a times 1.4 modifier or something like that, just to give it a little extra boost to feel a little more rewarding. Because at the end of the day, all weapons have at least 100 levels. Again, I'm not sure if they go above 100 or not. I don't think so, but they could in the future. So especially if they introduce like a weapon prestige system, like I mentioned, like that's a lot of stuff, a lot of levels rather to go through, especially as they add, a new weapon every month, stuff like that. And just to kind of give for those of you that haven't played the game, I've played the game a decent amount this last month, and I only have one bronze camo on one gun, and that's even still only level 63. So I'm just barely past the halfway point for one weapon. I think the next closest weapon I have is like level 30, and I've used that weapon a lot. So the XP rates are really slow, and this is even factoring in several double XP weekends they've already given us, and me burning through a bunch of weapon double XP tokens. Like if I had just straight balled this, 1 times XP, I would be nowhere near my current state. So that's just telling you how long it's taking, and the community seems pretty unanimous that it needs to go at least a little quicker. Again, nothing over the top, but something to make it a little less grindy, a little more rewarding, while still giving people the incentive to play dozens or even hundreds of hours. Now, to kind of follow this up with our last section, this is kind of a catch-all for a bunch of different things I've seen, but overall I think the UI UX is just a little bit clunky, and that starts my biggest complaint with this is the stats page. I think the stats page is just completely bare bones and terrible in its current state. It literally just gives you like super rounded fractions. You don't see core numbers at all. You just see a weird trend line for if you're getting better or worse over your last 10 games, etc., etc. It's terrible. It's not very intuitive. It's definitely just a stopgap. I assume they're probably working on something like this. I don't recall seeing anything from Mark Rubin or any of the devs, but I think it's something they're probably working on. I doubt this is the final version of the stats page. But I would love to see more in-depth stats. How many actual kills and deaths do I have? How many kills do I have with certain weapons? How many wins and how many losses do I have? Maybe even to the COD level. If you remember like COD Elite back in the day, you could see your heat maps for different maps and, what maps you won the most on and what map you had the highest KDR on and all that kind of crazy stuff that's really interesting to a lot of people, myself included. I would like to see that bolstered. I do believe that we'll be seeing something. I doubt they're going to keep the current system forever, but we'll just have to wait and see. Again, this could be something, like I stated in the intro, something that could be coming with Season 1. We just don't know yet. Next up, and again, these are just little kind of issues I have with the UX that I think could be upgraded. There's like a creating match thing that comes over your screen as you're kind of loading into the lobby officially, and it is just... it ruins everything that you're trying to do. It locks your mouse out. You can't do anything. I don't know on console if you can click out of it. I doubt it, but at least on PC you can't. And that's kind of a user experience thing that's just really bad. I hope they kind of relegate that to the background so you could still edit your classes while you're loading into those, into those lobbies. Next up, I have that certain menus are just not very user friendly. They still have some tweaks to do, especially in the lobby. You can't see like all your challenges. It's not clear exactly where the voting is. Some stuff just needs to be made more clear and crisp. Just an overall better UI. I'm not crazy about the one we have. I think it's better than, say, Modern Warfare 2's that just came out, the Hulu UI that everyone hated. I think they did a slightly better job than that, but it's still not great. It's still not very, intuitive. I don't know how it is on console. I've just played on PC, but even on PC, which UIs are technically a little easier because of the mouse, it's still just not great at all. And I would also like to make it a little easier to see everything that you've unlocked, especially when it comes to the operators. Again, just an overall cleanup and maybe optimization of the UI and menu system in the game, I think could really make this game pop a little bit more. And as they continue to add more stuff to the game, new systems, flesh out the content that is added to the game, it'll make it all easier to navigate across the board, especially with some of the systems that I've proposed today that I would like to see added to the game. So that about wraps it up, guys. Those are 5 things I think would really make XDefiant a much better game, a much more enjoyable experience. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. What things would you like to see added? Of all the things that I mentioned, is there anything that you enjoy or that you disagree on? Everything like that. And if you've enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. It helps a bunch more people find the channel. And make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date with all the latest XDefiant news, as well as Call of Duty news as we head into the brand new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 season as it starts rolling around here in the fall as we get more information across the summer. So I will be covering both games in pretty good detail here on the channel, so you do not want to miss that. So with that out of the way, guys, you have a great day.